right here, that's wood?
That's wood right there.
Oh, isn't it? You know? See, there's some wood right there.
After more than a decade of relentless digging, dead ends, and near disasters on Oak Island, the Lagina brothers may have finally crossed the line between legend and reality. Not rumors, not theories. Real gold. And not in one place, but 3 separate locations across the island. But where exactly were these discoveries made? And more importantly, how valuable could this treasure truly be? The trail leads back to Oak Island's most infamous and dangerous site, the Money Pit. For over 200 years, this small, wooded island off the coast of Nova Scotia has consumed fortunes, claimed lives, and fueled one of the greatest treasure legends in history. Because beneath its soil, legend says, lies something that was never meant to be found. The Money Pit is the heart of that legend. It's the most searched, most dangerous, and most costly dig site on the island. Entire fortunes have vanished here. Equipment has been destroyed. Lives have even been lost. And despite hundreds of attempts over the years, the treasure has always remained just out of reach. Until now. After a decade of advanced technology, deep drilling, and carefully following historical clues, the Lagina brothers and their team finally uncovered something undeniable. Not speculation, not another dead end, but real evidence suggesting the treasure may be closer than ever. And it all started with a borehole known as DN 11.5. The team had zeroed in on a specific zone within the Money Pit, an area backed by historical records and past discoveries pointing toward buried riches. Over generations, searchers had dug here, uncovering strange stone markers and complex flood tunnels designed to protect whatever was hidden below. Still, no one had ever reached the prize. That changed when the Laginas focused on borehole D 11.5, one of several strategic drilling points selected using modern surveys and past data. They already suspected man-made structures underground. They knew they were closing in. Then, at roughly 90 feet below the surface, something unexpected happened. The drill suddenly dropped into empty space. They had broken into a void, an underground chamber. This was massive news. Natural voids almost never occur in this region, which meant if there was open space down there, it wasn't accidental. Someone built it, and whoever built it may have been hiding something extremely valuable. Could this be part of a hidden tunnel system? To find answers, the team brought in geologist Terry Matheson. His analysis revealed something stunning. The void at DN 11.5 lined up precisely with 2 other boreholes, DN 12.5 and DN 13.5, where signs of tunnels had also been detected. That connection changed everything. This wasn't a random cavity. It was part of a larger underground structure. For decades, researchers have believed that the original treasure depositors constructed an elaborate tunnel network beneath the Money Pit to conceal and protect their fortune. Now, with DN 11.5 hitting a void exactly where predicted, that theory suddenly had real weight. But a void alone wasn't enough. They needed physical proof. So the team extracted core samples, long cylindrical sections of material pulled directly from the borehole. As they examined them, they hit something solid. Wood. At 90 feet underground, this was no coincidence. This wasn't a tree root or natural debris. This wood was clearly placed there by human hands, and given the history of the Money Pit, it was almost certainly very old. The sample was immediately sent to a lab. The team needed to know, was this from an old searcher tunnel, a collapse, or something far older and far more important? What came next shocked everyone. Later that day, The team gathered at the Oak Island Interpretive Center to hear the results. The lab used an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, a powerful tool capable of detecting microscopic traces of elements inside solid materials. At first, the findings were routine, common elements, nothing unexpected. Then came the bombshell: gold. Actual traces of gold were detected in the wood. This was a game-changer. Wood doesn't naturally contain gold, which meant one of two things. Either gold objects once rested directly against this wood, or water rich in dissolved gold had passed through the tunnel over time. Either way, one fact was undeniable. Gold was present in this underground structure. Now, to be clear, these weren't chunks of gold or piles of coins. The amounts found were tiny, but gold never appears alone. Where there are traces, there's often more nearby, potentially just feet away. So, what does this mean? Finding gold in the wood wasn't an accident. It confirmed that something valuable is buried in this exact zone. With boreholes DN 11.5, DN 12.5, and DN 13.5 all aligning, the team now has a clear target. The plan is simple: keep drilling, keep sampling. And if this tunnel system leads where they believe it does, the legendary Oak Island treasure may finally be within reach. And here's the kicker: this isn't the only place gold has been found. For longtime fans of the curse of Oak Island, the money pit has always been the center of attention. But Oak Island has never played by simple rules. Over the years, searchers have uncovered evidence of hidden vaults, buried tunnels, and forgotten shafts scattered across the island. So, when signs began pointing toward activity near the garden shaft, the Lagina brothers knew they couldn't ignore it. This structure was ancient, unstable, and abandoned, once plunging more than 80 feet deep into the ground. Time had taken its toll, leaving it crumbling and barely intact. But what lay beneath it could change everything. Recent testing had revealed something intriguing. Elevated levels of gold were detected in the water surrounding the garden shaft. That discovery immediately raised a massive question. If gold was present in the water, where was it coming from? Could it be leaking from a hidden vault or an undiscovered chamber nearby? That was exactly what the team was determined to find out. The strategy was clear: reinforce the garden shaft and then drill directly into its walls at multiple angles. If a concealed tunnel, void, or chamber existed just beyond the shaft, this approach would uncover it. The excavation work was led by Dumas Contracting Limited, the company overseeing the operation. The plan involved drilling a total of 12 probe holes, 3 into each wall of the shaft, specifically searching for signs of human construction or valuable materials buried nearby. Early that morning, as preparations began, Brandon Vanderhoof from Duma walked Rick and Marty through the drilling process. The probes were aimed at a very precise depth, one where earlier drilling had encountered a massive underground cavity nearly 10 feet wide, located just southwest of the garden shaft. That void had never been fully investigated, but if it connected to a larger system, it could completely change the direction of the search. As the hydraulic drill powered through layers of soil and clay, everything seemed routine, until suddenly the drill broke into empty space. They had hit another void, and it was exactly where they expected it to be. This wasn't a natural pocket in the ground. The alignment was too precise, matching earlier data almost perfectly. The most reasonable explanation was that they had encountered a tunnel or a constructed chamber. Immediately, new questions surfaced. Was this a collapsed hiding place for treasure? Was it linked to the money pit? And most importantly, was this void the source of the gold-rich water? Rick wasn't ready to jump to conclusions. To confirm whether this space was man-made, physical evidence was needed. As the drill continued, it brought up material from the void: soil, clay, and something else entirely. Wood. Finding wood at this depth was a major moment. This wasn't loose debris or natural material. It was buried timber, strongly suggesting that a structure once existed underground. And if gold had been detected in the water, there was a strong chance that traces of gold had also been absorbed into the wood over time. If that turned out to be true, it would mean they were finally on the right track. The next morning, the team assembled in the Oak Island lab to hear the results. Leading the analysis was Emma Culligan, the team's archaeometallurgist. Using an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, she scanned the wood for even the smallest traces of metal. When Emma returned with the findings, the room went quiet. For a treasure hunt that has stretched across centuries, this was a moment worth celebrating. So why is gold detected in wood such a big deal? Because gold doesn't behave like ordinary metals. It doesn't randomly appear in materials. If gold was present inside the wood, it meant that gold objects were once stored nearby, possibly pressing against the timber itself. Over time, microscopic particles would have transferred into the wood. Rick had long believed that if gold was present in the water, it should also be present in the surrounding materials. The test results confirmed exactly that. The garden shaft wasn't just another dig site. It was sitting on top of something important. The analysis showed that gold made up about 0.11% of the wood sample. That may sound small, but scientifically, it's extremely significant. Gold is incredibly rare in nature, and even minute traces can indicate proximity to a much larger deposit. To put it into perspective, 0.11% translates to thousands of parts per billion, far beyond what would normally occur by chance. This was direct evidence. At that moment, the team realized they weren't chasing myths anymore. The gold was real, and it was right beneath them. With solid proof in hand, the garden shaft became a top priority. A massive underground void had already been identified nearby. Gold traces were present in the water. And now, gold had been confirmed in the wood itself. All signs pointed to something valuable hidden below. But this wasn't the first time gold had appeared on Oak Island. Several seasons earlier, the team uncovered an intriguing artifact on Lot 21, a decorative brooch. At first glance, it appeared to be gold, but there was no certainty. To get definitive answers, Marty, Alex, and Craig brought the brooch to St. Mary's University in Halifax for expert analysis. There, metal chemistry specialist Dr. Krista Brosseau and her colleague Dr. Shang Yang examined the artifact using a scanning electron microscope. This powerful instrument allowed them to magnify the brooch thousands of times and analyze its chemical makeup at a microscopic level. The results were undeniable. Gold was present. The analysis revealed gold concentrated in specific areas, suggesting that parts of the brooch were either gold-plated or contained a high percentage of gold. Traces of copper were also detected, indicating the use of mixed metals, a common technique in historical jewelry craftsmanship. This confirmed that the brooch had real value when it was made. Its discovery on Oak Island sparked new theories. Could it have belonged to a wealthy European traveler? A member of nobility? Or perhaps it was once part of a much larger treasure stash, linked to pirates, the Knights Templar, or even the Freemasons. Some speculated it may have washed ashore from a shipwreck, along with other valuable cargo. What made the discovery even more compelling was that gold traces were also found in the surrounding soil. This suggested the brooch might not be an isolated find. And this is where the story of Oak Island quietly changes. Because for the first time in over 200 years, the evidence is no longer scattered or symbolic. It's no longer just old maps, strange stones, or second-hand accounts written in dusty journals. What the Lagina brothers now have is something far more difficult to dismiss: measurable data, physical material, and scientific confirmation. Gold in the water, gold in the wood, and voids in the ground that shouldn't exist naturally. Taken individually, each of these discoveries could still be argued away. Water moves. Wood travels. Cavities collapse. Skeptics have done this for decades. But when all of these elements begin appearing together, at the same depth, in the same zone, and aligned with historical predictions, the odds of coincidence start shrinking fast. What's especially unsettling is how deliberate everything seems. The tunnels don't wander randomly. The voids appear at consistent depths. The materials found underground show signs of planning, engineering, and purpose. Whoever worked beneath Oak Island didn't just dig holes. They designed a system meant to confuse, delay, and ultimately defeat anyone who tried to reach the center of it. Flood tunnels, offset chambers, hidden voids. All of it suggests a level of sophistication that feels far ahead of its time. And that raises a question more intriguing than gold itself. Why go to all this trouble? History tells us that people don't build labyrinths underground unless what they're protecting is worth more than the risk of being discovered. This wasn't the work of someone hiding a single chest of coins. This feels like the work of people protecting knowledge, power, or wealth on a scale that demanded secrecy above all else. That's where Oak Island becomes more than a treasure hunt. Because once gold enters the equation, it forces historians to reconsider timelines. It challenges assumptions about who had access to wealth, resources, and advanced construction techniques in the past. It opens the door to uncomfortable possibilities, ones that don't fit neatly into accepted history. Could this island have been used long before official records suggest? Could multiple groups have reused the same underground system across centuries? Or could the treasure itself have changed hands more than once, each time being re-hidden deeper, smarter, and more securely? The garden shaft discoveries hint that Oak Island isn't hiding a single secret, but layers of them. And that might explain why so many searchers failed before. They weren't digging in the wrong place. They were digging at the wrong time, with the wrong tools, and without understanding the structure beneath their feet. Modern technology has changed the game. High-resolution drilling data, precise depth measurements, chemical analysis capable of detecting gold at microscopic levels. These tools don't rely on belief or legend. They rely on facts, and the facts are quietly stacking up. Still, even now, the Lagina brothers remain cautious. Experience has taught them that Oak Island gives nothing easily. Every discovery brings new questions. Every answer opens another door underground. The island has a way of rewarding patience and punishing overconfidence. That's why no one is claiming victory yet. Because if Oak Island has taught us anything, it's this: the most important discoveries often come right before everything goes silent, before the island pushes back, before the ground shifts again. The presence of gold doesn't mean the treasure has been reached. It means they're close enough to feel it, close enough that the original builders would have expected intruders to stop, close enough that the traps, tunnels, and misdirection would begin doing their job, close enough that the real challenge finally begins. And maybe that's the true curse of Oak Island. Not that people die searching for treasure, but that just when you think you're about to solve it, the island reminds you how small you really are compared to the past. So the question now isn't whether something valuable exists beneath Oak Island. That question has already been answered. The real question is whether modern explorers can outthink the minds that built this underground puzzle centuries ago, and whether the island is finally ready to give up what it's been protecting for so long. Because, if the gold in the water and the wood is any indication, Oak Island isn't empty. It's waiting. There could be more buried nearby. So, what do you think? Is this brooch just a lost artifact, or a clue pointing toward something far greater? Are the Lagina brothers closer than ever to uncovering the legendary treasure of Oak Island? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.